Welcome to the JW Quarantine Quiz! Thank you. Well, tonight we have a very special episode because we have an EXJW pitted against an elder in the organization who will prevail with their knowledge of the Jehovah's Witness doctrine. Let's meet our contestants and find out. First off, we have Roger. Now, Roger, it says here that you've been a Jehovah's Witness your entire life. Is that true?
Well, I was actually baptized when I was about 10 years old, so not my entire life.
Okay, so Roger, you would say you're familiar with the Jehovah's Witness doctrine.
Well, absolutely. Currently, I serve as an elder. Well, actually, the coordinator of the body of elders. And then I also am a regular pioneer, which means I spend about 70 hours every month.
Okay, yes, thank you very much, Roger. I think we got the idea. Now, to introduce our next guest, we have an ex-Jehovah's Witness by the name of Josh. Josh, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Tell us a little bit about your history with the organization.
My family has a long history within the Watchtower organization. I was indoctrinated from a very young age, and eventually I learned that the truth wasn't the truth and started living an honest life, and here we are.
Thank you for being short and sweet. Now, if both of our contestants are ready, let's begin our first round.
Well, there's actually one other thing that I'd like to say. I did also serve at Bethel. I started actually when I was 19 years old, straight out of high school, and I served there for about 5 or so years in the printery.
For God's sake, man, no one cares. Sorry. All right, well, let's begin with our first round. The first category that we'll be discussing is history. All questions in this section will be worth 5 points, so let's begin. Who did the Jehovah's Witnesses originally say that the generation of Matthew 24:34 applied to?
Well, see, the word generation is actually very interesting when taken into the biblical context. So imagine that two people had a baby when they were only 15 years old, and then they also had a baby when they were 45 years old. Both of their children would still be considered part of the same generation. So therefore, a generation can span longer than you might think. So we really understand that the word generation applies to both the people that witnessed the events of 1914, and that was the invisible coming of Jesus Christ, and the people that are going to still be alive to witness the Great Tribulation. And as long as those two groups were alive at the same time, then they make a composite generation that's actually one generation. So really, two generations can become one generation, yes.
That didn't even answer the question, you.
Whoa, is this going to be a rated R movie?
Okay, so that's no points to anyone on that question. Now for our second question. What did Charles Taze Russell use to count the beginning of the Great Tribulation?
That would be the Bible and the Pyramids of Giza.
Correct. That will be 5 points to Josh.
Apostate lie.
Shut the up. Next question. When did the Watchtower initiate a shunning policy that included members of someone's own family?
So from my recollection, back in the 1980s, they established a policy where they needed to limit the association that they even had with family members that were disfellowshipped or disassociated.
Correct! Our ex-Jehovah's Witness is coming out strong with a 10-point lead. Now for our final question in this round. In what year did the Jehovah's Witnesses originally claim that the full number of 144,000 anointed Christians going to heaven was fulfilled?
1945.
Ooh, I'm sorry, but that's incorrect. Roger, your chance to answer this one correctly, but I swear if you even say the word generation...
I'm gonna kill myself!
Wow.
Well, the correct answer is 1935.
Correct!
I'd like to just add one thing, because we now understand that one generation can also mean two generations that lived at the same time, making up one composite generation. So therefore, if you take into account that these two separate generations are part of the same generation, anyone can be part of the 144,000.
Despite another generation tirade, we'll still give you the 5 points. So that concludes this round. It looks like Josh has an early lead of 10 points versus Roger's 5. We'll be taking a quick commercial break, and then we will begin round 2.
Finally, the moment we've all been waiting for. It is the 2021 Jehovah's Witness Pioneer Mobile. This is the one we've all been waiting for, with enough standard features to make the circuit overseer's wife absolutely lose her mind. We got comfortable seating for 7, keyless entry, and much, much more. This striking interior will absolutely leave everyone that's waiting in the back seat while you're on that long return visit comfortable for hours. Standard safety features to keep the entire family safe. Now the biggest feature that we're all waiting for is cup holders.
Yeah, boy.
What are you waiting for, Pioneer? This is the one that you absolutely need, so get on down today to your local dealer and pick up your 2021 Jehovah's Witness Pioneer Mobile.
Welcome back to the JW Quiz Show, where we will be beginning our second round. Now, in this round, it's going to be about the Jehovah's Witness Doctrine. We're going to have a true or false speed round, so no need to ring in. Both contestants can just shout out their answers as soon as they have them. Now, Roger, you're looking mighty confident. Let's begin. Do the Jehovah's Witnesses believe only their members will survive Armageddon?
Yes.
No.
Correct! According to the Watchtower, does a Jehovah's Witness know for a certainty that they are part of the 144,000 that will go to heaven?
No.
Yes.
Correct! Does the generation of Matthew 24:34 refer to the wicked people of Satan's system?
Yes.
No.
Correct! According to the Jehovah's Witness doctrine, has the Great Tribulation began? A bit of a trick question there, but you both answered correctly. Only God knows. In 1952, did Jehovah's Witnesses suggest, quote, "Colored brothers have great cause for rejoicing because their race is meek and teachable, and from it comes a high percentage of increase"?
Unfortunately, yes.
No.
Josh with the correct answer. They're taking the lead in this round. Now for the last question. Has the Watchtower ever been an NGO member of the United Nations, despite condemning them for years in its publications?
Yes.
Yes.
Correct! Our Jehovah's Witness showing signs that he may have been doing some independent research. Good work, Roger.
I would like to just bring one point out, though, that it's not exactly as it looked, because it did look kind of bad. What we were really trying to do was gain access to a library so that we could do better research. And so in order to have access to the library, we just had to be an NGO member.
If that was the case, then why during this particular period in which they were a non-government organization member of the United Nations did they produce positive material talking about the good that the United Nations was doing?
That's just like an apostate of you, Josh. Getting hung up on these little tiny details, we're missing the bigger truth. That this is the truth. So sad.
Good job, Roger. You really made a point there. So, let's move to our final category that is going to test your knowledge of the Bible. To add a bit of intrigue to this round, every correct answer will be worth 10 points, but every incorrect answer will be negative 5 points. I will ask the question and both of you will have a chance to respond. Let's get into it. First off, who incited David to count the fighting men of Israel?
God.
Oh, God.
Roger with the correct answer there. How old was Ahaziah when he began to rule over Jerusalem?
22.
42.
Exactly. How many stalls for horses did Solomon have?
4,000.
40,000.
You both are right there. Jesus descended from which son of David?
Solomon.
Nathan.
Both of our contestants showing a deep understanding of the Bible. You're both correct again. Jesus rode into Jerusalem on how many animals?
It was 2. It was both an ass and a colt.
1. I think it was a cult.
Superb. Did Jesus bear his own cross?
Yes.
No.
Yes. Did Jesus ascend into the paradise the same day as his death?
Yes.
No.
Correct. How did Judas Iscariot die?
That's a hard one.
If I know.
That one is difficult to say. No points for anyone there. According to the Bible, how many people have ascended into heaven?
Only 1.
2?
Correct! Both showing an understanding of not only the Hebrew, but the Greek scriptures as well. Does God change his mind?
No.
Yes.
Yes! Who killed Goliath?
David?
David.
Both of you correct again. We would have also accepted Elhanan. How did King Saul die?
He fell on his own sword.
He was killed by an Amalekite.
Yes, and now for our final question. Is the Bible the perfect, inerrant Word of God? You're both right. It just really depends on who you ask. Well, let's tot up these scores and see who the winner of tonight's competition is.
Well, this should be easy. If God is with you, who can stand against you?
What about when the Israelites were meant to fight the Moabites? And God beforehand even prophesied that the Israelites would win. During the battle, the Moabites were losing, and so the Moabite king sacrificed his own son to his God. After that happened, the Israelites were scared and they ran off because they started to lose. So essentially, this is losing to the power of another God. So can you honestly say that if God is with you, no one can stand against you? In the Bible, it says that apparently if you kill your son, someone can stand against you.
Just like an apostate, getting hung up on the small details again.
Well, the final scores are in, and Josh, it looks like you squeaked out a victory by only 5 points. Our final score was 145 to 150. Good work, Josh, and a round of applause to you. Well, tonight's prize is a good one. We're going to be donating $5,000 to the charity of your choice, Josh.
I would have given it to the Worldwide Work.
Well, as you can clearly see, I love my animal friends, especially my pit bulls. I'm going to be using that $5,000 to donate to a charity that flies at-risk dogs out of high occupancy shelters to help them find better homes, like here.
And a fine choice that is, Josh. Well, thank you both for playing. Well, hello there, little friend. Thank you both for playing. Stay safe and sane during this quarantine. Thank you everyone for watching, and we will see you next week when we are going to have a polar bear versus a certain Republican answering questions about climate change. Good night, everyone.